the list and you can be an early adopter for that account, then they have some other links in there to look at how the coding works and look at how the APIs work. So if you have a development idea, go look at that stuff and see about developing a tool or a piece or whatever. But, you know, we were talking earlier too, Paul, about what some of the potential weaknesses for this platform is too, is that, like, think about this. We have this one shared container document out on the internet, and it's embedded on the blog, and it's also copied to Paul, and it's also copied to me and Steve and Nan and you know, all of us or whatever, but it's also up on the blog. But you're getting this document in an email because that's just how you got it. You're copied on an email. So what do? You go and you reply and you say something that you really didn't want to show up on the blog because you're imagining an email conversation, not a blog post, and you're not paying attention that a blog is also one of the recipients of this. So it could be, I think that's a stupid idea, and Jerry sucks, and blah, 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 because you think it's an email that's an internal email, and you forget to notice that your blog is actually copied on it. Now, of course, that can be taken out. But just imagine how many people out there are going to lose control over imagining who's connected, who's not connected. You know,
it's like, yeah, you're right.
Like, you know, imagine how many
people
times
are going to do it, and then you've got the control, hopefully, to then uncheck me for automatically, you know, being able to post to these public places, and comments need approval, essentially, kind of the usual norm on how you control that stuff, and it's kind of the same things we do now, but it's a simple point to do it.
Yeah, it's just the mindset of people is that an email is an email, an instant message is an instant message, and a blog post is a blog post. And people communicate differently. If you were writing a comment on a blog post,
I could be live when I answer the phone, and you call me. You never know now, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So how communications get connected is now easier, and that means you have to be a little more careful that whether you're writing an email or typing an instant message, you might also be updating a blog or something that you weren't planning on. And think about this. How many times have you seen people like hit reply all, but then put something personal in there or whatever, something private? And so, like, let's say that you know, we're, again, the same group of people that, you know, all of us staff people or whatever, that we're having a communication, and it's, you know, the mistakes of hitting a reply all and then saying something that really wasn't meant for public consumption or each other's, you know, whatever. People make those mistakes all the time. That stuff's going to end up being the problem with this platform is people are, it's the learning curve. You know, for ordinary people are not going to realize the impact of this platform, you know, and so of course your answer is just like an email is pay attention to who's getting copied, you know, pay attention to who gets to see this stuff, but it changes the dynamics.
And they're going to be confused, like you're saying, Jerry, and it's going to open up a whole new learning curve, because like you said, most people still don't even know how to use email and put proper subjects on it. You know, a lot of the things we've talked about in past shows, and now this email is going to end up being your SEO for your website because it's on a widget. The nice thing is, unlike when you screw up and it's like, yeah, I slept with so and so's, you know, this woman, and you reply back to her husband, you can take it back. You know, you can delete it. You know, once you send an email, it's gone, and you definitely screwed up, right?
Well, okay, fix your microphone, Paul, because you keep drifting out, and this doesn't work. You need to be able to communicate loudly. You know.
No, I don't know.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
So how I feel about that is that the platform you're talking about supports being transparent, which is, I think, where human beings need to be heading anyway. All the current platforms that we use support the old paradigm, which is let's hide and let's be secretive and let's pretend. And how well has the old paradigm worked? So I like the new platform.
Yeah, history has shown that, you know, open platforms that simplify things tend to get adopted, and proprietary platforms they complicate things or whatever, tend to not. And this just feels like an open platform that simplifies, and so it should make things easier. You know, Nan says people also don't read email. How do you handle that? Well, people are people. People do what people do. And so, you know, I've actually had clients that I've refused to do business with because I couldn't get them to read emails or to manage their spam filter properly or whatever. And they were just so hard to communicate with that I'm like, you know, we're just not a good fit for each other. I can't communicate. You don't read the emails or whatever. We can't get a project done. And I've actually had to refuse clients because they're so bad at it. And it's like, I'm sorry, but, you know, you have to be able to communicate, you know. And if I can't send you an email in my line of work, that's very frustrating. And, you know, I have one client that I'll make fun of that I showed up in their spam filter, you know, and that happens sometimes. And they would not take me out of their lists or whatever, their bad list or, you know, whatever they have to do so that I show up in their normal inbox. And they don't ever check their spam filter. So I would have to send them an email and then call them up and say, okay, go into your spam filter, search for my name. Do you find that email? Okay, there's my email. Every single time I sent them an email, I had to call them and tell them and walk them through going and finding it. And all they had to do to solve that was like add me to their address book or say this is not spam or something. But this particular person was just so stupid about how to use email that this was a problem. It's like, so, you know, I ended up not doing a project for them because it's like, this is just way too painful. And those people, you know, I'm sorry, you know, maybe they don't need to be using the internet or, you know, whatever. But, you know, I can only take so much responsibility for other people.